Welcome, everyone. Awful Takes special episode. I've been talking about doing this for a while, and here we are. It is going to be all wrapped into one. It's going to be our best of, worst of 2024, and our most anticipated of 2025.
Oh, yeah.
Super excited. This is really cool to kind of officially make like a top of list. That's something that I kind of always used to do. I'd just write it on my phone just to kind of like have as like a timestamp almost.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I'll preference is there are some movies I've missed out on. So as of right now, kind of like with the show in general, this is a timestamp for this time, and it could change. And if it does change, I'll definitely mention it at some point. Obviously, I'll just kind of note first off big movies I haven't seen. I still haven't seen Anora, which some people regard as the best movie of the year. I'm gonna check it out. Definitely gonna check it out, especially come awards season. I'm gonna knock off all the movies that are nominated, just so that way when we do like kind of our awards show, I know I've seen everything. Another big one that I just hear amazing things about. The Substance. Haven't watched it.
That one I still need to see.
Yeah.
It's on the watch list.
I hear it's definitely one of the best horror movies. And,
it's like a really crazy body horror type of thing. So yeah, I'm definitely very intrigued by that.
Another one that unfortunately I still haven't made time for and I need to is Nosferatu.
I still need to go see it. Yeah. I know Nabaahi is very excited for it.
Definitely. Again, I just wanted to mention this beforehand. There are some movies I haven't seen as of right now. My top 5 is just going to be the movies I have seen,
same here.
And, I kind of like for these to serve as just, a timestamp for right now. Granted, there may be some unknown underground straight to streaming movie that could be the best movie of the year and I haven't seen it, but I mean, how am I going to find it?
I'm still looking. I have to search through it.
Especially now with streaming, I'm not trying to watch every single movie that comes out,
Yeah, and that's completely okay too.
Exactly. All right. I guess I'll start off. We'll just start out with the best of. And we're going to be doing top 5. I wanted to do top 10, but I feel like with me missing out on some movies, some people might harp on me for some of my top 10 choices.
Sure.
So first off, I'm just going to run through some honorable mentions that I really loved, yet didn't make the list. Mm-hmm. Not because of the quality they were, but obviously I just love some of the other movies more. Honorable mention number 1, Wicked was one of the biggest surprises of the year for me.
Oh, cool.
I was not really looking forward to it, and I think it's one of my favorite musicals that I've seen in a while.
Wow.
The acting in it is top notch. The music in it is top notch. And I guess unlike normal Disney, the production value is just crazy. The amount of work they put into these choreographies, these dances, these set pieces is amazing. I am super, super happy that I went to go see it because I really wasn't looking forward to it that much. And honestly, it's one of my biggest surprises of the year.
Nice.
Another honorable mention, Alien Romulus. Man, was it great to see an alien film that I loved.
Not by Ridley Scott.
Not by Ridley Scott. And what a smart decision to, obviously, you have to follow in the footsteps of some of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made. Not only to mention, you have to follow in the footsteps of one of the greatest sci-fi heroes ever made in Ripley. And how do you do that? How do you go about that? Do you try to replicate her and try to offer something similar? But I felt like Alien Romulus made a really smart decision in not only focusing on one character, but 2. Your main character is a pairing now. And what a smart decision. Like, you really can't fill the footsteps of Sigourney Weaver's Ripley. You just can't, and if you try to, it's not going to come off good. And I think it was very smart of them to have a main pair rather than just a main character. Really loved that movie.
Yeah, good one.
Another honorable mention, Inside Out 2. We are in the day and age where Disney sequels, especially Pixar, haven't been the greatest, you know?
Hit or miss.
And we've been going into them with some kind of low-tamed expectations. And it was really great to watch Inside Out 2 and come out thinking that, wow, that was really good. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see more, you know? To me, that's a big win. And especially now with Pixar, it was nice to have a movie that people were excited about. And the humor in it just, man, some of my favorite moments in the theater this year was watching Inside Out 2 and just laughing at some of those parts.
Oh, yeah, especially the video game sequence and the safe.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. Amazing. So, yeah, those are a few of my honorable mentions. One other one, going to mention, Deadpool and Wolverine. I know not everyone was a big fan of this film.
Okay.
However, one thing I want to acknowledge that I was just not expecting, and it came out of left of field, is this movie serves as a goodbye / send-off to the Fox universe. And that was something that I wasn't expecting. I really was going into it thinking we were going to get just, you know, humor for the sake of humor, and Deadpool is now in the MCU, and that we're just going to kind of forget about the Fox universe. But no, this felt like a swan song to the Fox universe.
They even brought back Jennifer Gardner's
Jennifer Gardner. They brought back Blade. They got to show off Gambit. And man, for me, again, I was not expecting that. I really thought they were just going to kind of leave the Fox universe to, you know, wither away, and that's it. It's done now. Mm-hmm. Yet this really felt like a culmination of the last 20 years of Fox movies, you know, and especially in the end credit sequence with all the footage, behind the scene footage of, you know, the making of X-Men, Fantastic Four, Blade, you know, all these movies. And man, it really kind of hit me emotionally that, wow, the Fox universe is coming to an end. And that really just caught me off guard. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions.
Nice.
Now let's get into the top 5. Starting with number 5, controversial pick. Longlegs.
That one I have not seen yet. Actually.
I was super caught off guard with this movie. Didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I will say I'm a little biased with these detective kind of stories about, you know, something that is otherworldly and paranormal. And man, did I love this movie. Normally I find kind of out there cinematography distracting, but for some reason in this movie, it just worked for me. The cinematography in this movie is absolutely amazing. I think it's one of my favorites uses of cinematography in movies this year at all. It just looks amazing. The performances in it are absolutely great. By the end of the movie, I was on the edge of my seat. And I know it didn't really work for everyone. And I think people have different expectations as of, you know, where they think a horror movie like this should go. Obviously, I'll kind of say straight up, I wasn't really scared at all watching the movie. But I guess I was more focused on the detective cop kind of angle that they were going for. And man, did I really love it. And what a great design of like a horror villain. You know, I just really was just unnerved by him.
Oh, sick. Okay. Cool.
So yeah, Longlegs is number 5. Number 4, Dee Dee. It is a coming of age story that hit a little too close to home for me. Watching this movie, I swear, in the beginning when he loads up his MySpace, man, do I remember that so much. And seeing like a coming of age story where, you know, your protagonist, you know, your main hero isn't necessarily the biggest outcast, but because of the way he interacts with people, he kind of pushes away some of these friendships and these relationships that he could have. And also he's tied between two worlds, which I feel like, youth nowadays, it's more true now so than ever that you are kind of living two different lives. You have your life at school and with your friends, and you have your life at home with your family. And, you know, sometimes these two areas can cross over into each other. But man, Dee Dee was such a big surprise for me. And it's a really not underrated, but underlooked movie of this year. I feel like more people definitely need to see this movie, and I really hope it gets some type of awards recognition. Especially the acting by some of these young kids in this movie is absolutely great.
Yeah, I definitely got to give that one a watch.
Yeah.
It's on my watch list.
Number 3, a more recent movie, A Complete Unknown. I was super excited for this movie. It is a kind of full circle moment for James Mangold as a director. Obviously, my first movie that I saw of him was Walk the Line, and a musical biopic, again, doing it this time about Bob Dylan, one of my favorite musicians. Man, I was excited. Yeah. And watching this movie, I hope we do a review about it, but I'll just kind of keep it brief. Focusing on the aspect of a pop culture figure who is now ushering in a new era of music. You know, are your loyal fans going to love you for it, or are they going to hate you for it? And this was something that I felt was undercooked in Walk the Line. There's a few lines and mentions of Johnny Cash kind of going into a new direction, but they didn't really focus on it. And man, did I appreciate this movie for focusing on that. Seeing the reactions of Bob Dylan, you know, singing rock music. What was that like? What did that look like? And oh man, I just absolutely enjoyed it. And for me, honestly, one of my favorite performances of the year is Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan.
Nice.
Does absolutely amazing. His voice is, man, is it spot on. Like when you're watching this, you're just like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this sounds exactly like the original recording. He does such a great job in this movie. If you're on the hate train for him, you got to get off it, because this guy is looking like he's going to be one of the biggest actors of, you know, the next 10, 20 years. He really is amazing. Yeah. Number 2, definitely a film that just surprised me in every way. Look Back. Just a short movie. It runs at about an hour. Yet it does all the things that a normal 2-hour, hour and 30-minute movie would. And sometimes it does it even better. This was truly one of the biggest surprises for me of the year. And I have not stopped recommending it to everyone I know. Yeah. Check out Look Back if you haven't seen it. The music in it is amazing. The animation is amazing. And most importantly, the story is one of a kind, and it really is emotionally provoking for me. Really enjoyed Look Back. If you haven't seen it by now, do yourself a favor and check it out.
Yeah.
And all right, number 1, it's no surprise to anyone, Furiosa. Again, I've said it before and I'll say it again till the day I die. This is a movie that really takes me back to being a kid and watching movies like Indiana Jones for the first time, seeing practical action, seeing out there characters, and you really just feel like you're in the mind of someone else. Those are my favorite movies where you just feel like this is just super original to the guy who's thinking of it, you know, yet he's able to bring along other people, other visionaries for the ride and really service one vision. Again, this is an achievement with acting, with stunt work, with costume design, with special effects, with music. It's just the amalgamation of each department in movies, yet they all come together in unison and achieve something that is just absolutely amazing. I have seen Furiosa so many times, and I just can't praise it enough. Yeah, check it out if you haven't seen it by now. But yeah, that's my best of 2024. Wallied, what are we looking at?
All right, so want to give a few honorable mentions before I get into my top 5. It's changed so drastically since the start of the podcast. So, but I really thought about it. It's finally concrete now. But here's a few honorable mentions I wanted to mention that unfortunately didn't make the list, but I still want to shout them out. So I'll start off with the first one that came to me. It was a very big surprise. I didn't think I was going to enjoy this film, but I ended up really, really loving it a lot. So it's a film called If by John Krasinski. And it is basically about like a girl. She is kind of noticing a lot of these ifs, aka like imaginary friends. And that's kind of how the film goes. But it took me by surprise, honestly. It felt like I felt like a kid again watching it. You know, there was a lot of very heartfelt moments throughout that just really caught me off guard, and I just wasn't expecting the film to take. And especially the existential turns that it takes in the middle portion and second half really just like blew me away for sure. And it was just like watching it, it just felt like, man, I felt like I was 12 again watching it, you know, especially her relationship that she has with her dad throughout. And not only that, but just the humor surprisingly lands. It honestly has probably my favorite Ryan Reynolds performance that I've seen. I'm not big into a lot of his acting, but his performance was really great in it, considering he shows up sporadically throughout. I know a lot of people don't really care for it. I know some people are mixed on it, but for me, it really hit very hard emotionally and personally for me. And it was just that feeling of like feeling like a kid again watching this movie. And it's one that I do strongly recommend if you guys haven't checked it out. I know it didn't. Don't watch too many of the trailers because it doesn't really give you an idea of really what the movie's about. And yeah, if was a very big one for me that I just was like caught me super off guard. And then a couple others I want to shout out is Orion in the Dark. This is a kind of like a DreamWorks Netflix movie that kind of flew super under the radar. It came out really early on in like January, February, but it was a surprising film about like just getting over the fears of the dark and the nighttime. And it was surprisingly really well done. It surprisingly uses the high concept pretty well in the second half of the film. And again, it's kind of another one where it's like, I didn't know I needed this film, you know, and it kind of helped with some of, you know, just the anxieties of sleeping at night or just even just kind of living through the nighttime almost, you know. So yeah, Ryan in the Dark was a very big surprise too. And then one that I want to shout out, unfortunately it didn't come out in 2024, but it got finally released because it's been going through festival seasons these past year or two, is a film called Hundreds of Beavers. And I am just going to say right now, it is probably the funniest film I have seen in a very long time. It's pretty much a silent film, and the best way I can kind of describe it is like it's like a live action Looney Tunes cartoon in the best way possible. Just some of the funniest moments I've seen. If it was a 2024 release, it would definitely be probably number one because this is probably the most I've laughed with the film in a long time. So many incredible character moments. Just uses like a mix of live action and like just kind of CG animation to like its craziest potential. And yeah, so Hundreds of Beavers. It's available everywhere to watch for free, so definitely check it out. And then I was also close to putting this one on the list just because I rewatched it recently. Furiosa. This film I went from saying was decent to literally being just absolutely amazing. I don't know what it is about this movie, but it just gets better and better every time I rewatch it. Like there is just so many things I pick up on. The action is just so top notch. And if I'm being honest, it might even just be my favorite prequel film ever made. Honestly, I feel like it really uses the prequel story to like another level that I just wasn't even expecting it to. And after watching this film for my third time, I'm even more excited to see Fury Road, which I'll keep you guys updated on.
It's going to happen. We're talking about it this year.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's my honorable mentions. If I was doing a top 10, that definitely would be number 6 for sure. So, yeah, I'll kick it off with number 5. We have a very bizarre, crazy film, Kinds of Kindness by Yorgos Lanthimos. It is one of the wildest anthology films that I have ever seen. And I guess kind of the best way to describe it is that each story gets crazier and crazier as it goes along. It's not going to be for everybody. I know it has a bit of a mixed response with some people, but definitely just really great performances all around, especially Jesse Plemons. He kills it in all 3 of the short stories that you see throughout. I love just the metaphors that are used throughout, with just how power is portrayed and just how love is portrayed. Really great action set pieces too throughout that I just wasn't expecting. It even takes a bit of like a horror route at some points too. And even with the nearly 3-hour runtime, I'm still just super invested in just everything that's going on. But that is, so yeah, for sure, Kinds of Kindness is definitely one of the craziest rides I've had all year. So yeah, definitely check it out. It's not going to be for everybody, but yeah, that's my number 5. At my number 4 spot, I have one I have seen is Honora by Sean Baker. This one also took me by surprise. I was surprised how it blends comedy and drama super, super well. And especially like just the whole journey throughout. I don't want to say too much about it because I went into it not knowing anything, but just the whole journey throughout is so incredible. I love Honora as a character. I love this somewhat romance and love that is portrayed, especially how she is as a stripper and a sex worker. It was just a very, very big surprise. And all I will say, aside from that, is the home invasion scene. Nabaahi, when you go and see it, the home invasion scene is one of the craziest scenes I have seen all year.
Nice.
It's great. Amazing film. Definitely check it out if you guys haven't. It'll probably be available to watch more and more as the Oscar season comes in. I know a bunch of people are talking about Oscar season. So, but yeah, probably my favorite Mikey Madison performance for sure.
Nice.
So yeah, that's number 4. Number 3, I'm going to shout out Look Back. This film, this film is so hard-hitting, especially when you are writing or doing comics or anything like that. And just its portrayal of imposter syndrome is so effective and it is so powerful. And not only that, but I love how the film portrays the collaborative process. You know, you realize that like once she kind of takes this person for granted and it's like you kind of see the work is not as good, you know, and it's just such a amazing portrayal of friendship and collaboration. And just one that I'm still shocked is like a real movie, you know, and considering it's only 60 minutes, it's still just so hard hitting, especially when you get to the end. But Look Back, definitely number 3 for sure. And then the next 2 spots were a bit hard because I think both of these films are perfect. And obviously, who knows, this might change. Some days I might like one more, some days I might like one the other, but I'm going to say for now, number 2 is The Wild Robot. This movie is breathtaking. It is so gorgeous. The animation is absolutely incredible. The portrayal of motherhood shown throughout is so well done, especially the portrayal of forgiveness. I love this relationship that this robot has throughout with all of the different animals, and its portrayal of nature versus nurture is so incredible. It's so well done. It goes in so many different twists and turns that you just don't even expect. And the music is just, honestly, it's just some of the best music I've heard in any film, period. It is just such a, no pun intended, wild ride from start to finish. And
Nice.
Anybody who ever denies DreamWorks, like, I get it. They have their misses. We'll get into that in a bit, actually. But man, this film is just absolutely incredible. And I would even say it's on the level of like a Wall-E, honestly.
Nice.
But yeah, Wild Robot is absolutely incredible. If you guys haven't seen it, please check it out. And then my number one favorite film, it is a film called It Just Takes Time by Joel Haver. It is a film that hit very, very close to home for me this year. Especially with its portrayal of grief, and those quiet moments of grief that you don't really see often in film. And you see how these friends come together after their friend's passing, and you just kind of see them kind of going through like the day in the life of like going through this grief together pretty much. And it's just such a powerful portrayal of friendship and just one of the best uses of hugs that I've seen in any film. And surprisingly, the film is only 70 minutes, and yet it is so powerful and it goes by so fast, But it's a really, really incredible portrayal with just some of the best music, best score that I've heard, really fantastic cinematography, and it's honestly for free on YouTube. And
Nice.
To give kind of a bit of a context of what this is Joel Haver is a filmmaker on YouTube, and he decided to do the 12 film challenge. So he made 12 films this year, and out of all of them, I haven't seen, there's a few I still need to see, but this one ended up hitting the hardest for me. Because I know going through like grief and going through that process is very hard, and just seeing all of the friends throughout, and you seeing them supporting each other is just such a fantastic, incredible feeling. But yeah, I want to just shout that out. Joel Haver's 12 film series that he did this year is honestly probably the best thing I've seen all year. So not only this film is fantastic, but also his rom-com Hiccups was amazing too. The Text, which is a great one-take drama, and Anyone Else But Me, which was a pretty good meta film. Yeah, just want to shout those out too also. So yeah, thank you Joel Haver for making this year like really great for film. So yeah, It Just Takes Time is my favorite out of all of them, but I'd recommend checking out the 12 film series he did this year, because honestly, I don't think I've seen any other filmmaker do that, and especially in like such a short time period. But yeah, that's my top 5.
There it is,
year.
guys. Each of our top 5s.
Thank you, guys.
Leave in the comments your top 5. What was the best movies of the year for you? Would love to know, because there could be some movies, like I said, on streaming or whatever, lower end releases that I'm missing out on.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys for the best of. It was really an awesome year in movies, and this will always serve as the first year where I finally started a podcast. It's something I've been talking about for a long time, and here we are. It really was a great year for me in general. However, the next part is not so great. There are some unfortunately horrid movies that I saw that really just felt like a waste of my existence. But I watched them anyways. All right. One thing I want to preference is, if I'm not looking forward to a movie, rarely am I going to force myself to watch it. One thing I just want to preference, we were talking about worst movies. One thing I just want to say is people might get confused between the term worse and then disappointing. I just want to make sure that we're clear with that.
Okay,
disappointing for me is something that obviously I'm excited by and I'm excited for, yet it ends up just being a disappointment from my expectations, I just want to be clear with that, because I feel like sometimes people might be like, oh, that means it's in your worst of list. No, it's not. Like a movie I was disappointed with this year, I don't think it's the worst movie ever made, but Civil War, like I was disappointed with it, but it's not my worst movie of the year. I still think it's a very well-made, coherent movie,
Yeah, for sure.
But that was just something I forgot to preference beforehand.
Oh, yeah, no worries.
So one thing I want to say is these are the movies I've seen. It's a short list because I don't really subject myself to watch garbage movies. Like for instance, I haven't seen Madam Web, nor will I ever gain enough interest to eventually put it on. And even if I did put it on, I don't even know if I could finish it, if I'm being honest. Same thing with Craven. For me, Craven's one of my least favorite Spider-Man villains. So I wasn't all that excited to begin with. And then the trailer came out and I was like, now I'm really not excited. So I haven't seen either of those movies. I know people say they're utter trash, but
what about Venom 3?
That Venom as well. Like, God, someone get rid of this Spider-Man-less Spider-Man universe. All right.
All right, what do we got?
I got 2 films that I watched that I hate. Number 2 is something that I'm going to expand on just a little bit. We have Roadhouse, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Conor McGregor. For some reason, we finally, after a bunch of remakes of 80s, 90s movies, we focused back in on Roadhouse. I'm not the biggest fan of the original, so I guess watching this movie, I didn't really have much expectations. And man, was this horrible. Conor McGregor's acting in it is absolutely horrible. He talks in the stupidest way, and it just sounds so dumb. And you would think with this guy being this martial artist and stuff that the fights would feel, at least entertaining. But for some reason, they strapped these awful 360 GoPros. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking when they were filming this, but it looks so awkward and it looks so stupid. I hate the way the fights look in this movie. It is absolutely horrible. And one thing I want to mention is Jake Gyllenhaal, you were literally my golden boy in 2010 all the way to like 2016. I don't know what movies you've been picking recently, but you need to stop, okay? You had one of my favorite performances in movies as Lou Bloom in Nightcrawler. You blew me away with that.
That was a great performance.
And then you had Prisoners, another amazing, subtle performance. I know you can do great stuff. Why are you remaking Roadhouse? Why would you attach yourself to this project? Like, Jake Gyllenhaal, you literally are probably in one of the best, in the conversation of best actors working today, and you chose to make this movie. I don't get it. Man, did I hate this movie. Oh man, it was so awful. I couldn't stand it.
Wow.
But yeah, I saw it. All right.
Alrighty.
My most hated movie of the year. I'm gonna get flamed for this a little bit. Trap by M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night.
I don't know why, but some people out there, and I feel like this is how movie reception is in general now. You have a very vocal crowd saying that, oh, it was entertaining, it was fun, oh, it's not bad, it was meant to be that. No, this movie fucking sucked. The directing sucked, the acting sucked, the writing sucked. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. You're watching a 2-hour demo reel of M. Night Shyamalan's daughter singing a bunch of music and an absolutely horrible performance by a lead actor. I swear, the first time he uttered a line, I was just like, okay, is this the performance? Is this actually it? Or is that like an outtake or something? Because, man, his acting is absolutely horrible. The premise starts off kind of interesting, but then you get slowly distracted by the set piece of this movie and the way they chose to film it. Nothing makes cohesive sense at all. This guy is at a concert and multiple times he leaves the show and you see literally hundreds, thousands of people out in, the stands and everything, buying merch, doing this. And I'm like, wouldn't they all be watching the who thought of this? It is so stupid. And then the ending comes along and I was hoping that, okay, at least maybe the ending might kind of save it for me, but it gets even more over the top and more stupid. You have all right, spoiler alert, you have a fucking known killer going around, killing a bunch of people, and now you cornered him in a final standoff between him and the cops. He has weapons that you know he has, yet for some reason the cops choose to tase him. If that was real life at all, that guy would be fucking dead. I hate this fucking movie. God, for the people who say like this is entertaining, I don't get it. I really don't get it at all. Like this movie just fucking sucked. I swear, I don't know why people are trying to say this with movies in general that are bad. They're like, oh, it's entertaining. The entertainment value saved it for me, so therefore it's an 8 out of 10. It's like, no, this is just trash. You literally are encouraging Shyamalan to make more types of films like this, you know? And maybe it was intentional. Maybe he was trying to make something over the top, something campy, but I'm sorry, it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel that way at all.
With M. Night, it's hard to tell whether or not it's skippy or not. Yeah. You know?
It's absolutely insane.
He's kind of like a box of chocolates. You just never know what you're getting with him.
And again, like, sure, for the first 15, 20 minutes, you know, there was some entertainment to be had. But again, for me, after you sit there for a while, you just kind of question, why am I watching this? Why am I wasting time out of my day, my existence, to sit here and bear through this absolute mess of a movie? That's my problem, is like people who like to say that, like, oh, it's entertaining, but it's like, come on, after 10 minutes, are you really having that much fun? I doubt it. All right. That was a little rant. Sorry if you guys enjoyed it, but man, that was one of the worst movies I've seen this year.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, mine's a little bit longer, unfortunately. It's kind of the unfortunate thing when you watch a lot of movies. You have to sit through a lot of really garbage, terrible movies. I'm not going to spend too long with some of these, but the more we get farther in the list, the more I'll go in depth. All right, so number 5 was a film that I'm still shocked. I don't know how this guy keeps making movies, but Jerry Seinfeld, Unfrosted. This movie is this movie is not good. None of the jokes land, unfortunately. Granted, there's maybe like one okay scene that I found. But yeah, just acting is terrible. I don't know what people find funny about Seinfeld, but more power to those people, I guess. It was just a really boring, unfunny movie that went on for way too long. Amy Schumer's there. All your favorite comedians are there, and they tell really boring jokes, and they don't do anything with the Pop-Tarts concept or whatever it was. And I think we can stop with these biopics. Please, I don't want to see more food biopics about Flamin' Hot Cheetos and Pop-Tarts. And okay, I don't want to go and see a movie about the cheese spray. Okay.
What about Takis?
No Takis movie. No, thank you, sir. So yeah, Unfrosted. That's what we're starting off with. Seinfeld. Come on, man. Let's get Larry David back in there or something. I don't know.
You need something.
Ugh, yeah, terrible garbage. Yeah. All right, number 4. It was an unfortunate one because I was actually kind of excited for this one, and it ended up just being quite possibly one of the worst sequels I think I've ever seen. That unfortunate one is Kung Fu Panda 4.
Damn.
DreamWorks. Guys, what are we doing? We're on the 4th movie. Yeah, it basically recycles jokes from the first 3 films and does absolutely nothing with them. It's very predictable, very boring. There's this new character they bring in, and it's so obvious what they're doing with the character. She was just not interesting at all. The only okay thing I kind of found with the film was obviously, you know, Mr. Ping and the panda dad. That was kind of like the one okay thing about it, but just a lot of it was just very boring. I didn't really care for any of the action. Again, a lot of the jokes didn't land. It just kind of felt like we were on autopilot, which makes me really sad, you know, because it's like you have the potential of like, okay, Poe has to go find a new Dragon Warrior now, but this film just doesn't do anything with it, you know? And again, it's just like the villain is so terrible. You have this chameleon villain. Her literally the only thing she does is just push people off the stairs. That's literally her whole intimidating factor, is that she pushes them off the stairs, I guess. And then they kind of do a bit of like a nostalgia bait thing of like bringing back some of the villains from like the first 3 films, and they don't do anything. They're just kind of there to remind you of like the other 3 films. Yeah, this one was just, it just made me sad. I was just like, I was like, I didn't know a Kung Fu Panda movie could be so boring. And it just makes me sad, especially because I love the first 3 Kung Fu Panda films so much. Like, I will praise those films to no end, but this 4th one just felt like just such a terrible stain on like the Kung Fu Panda films. And apparently they have some more planned, and I'm not really that excited about it. Unfortunately. Yeah. So yeah, that was number 4, Kung Fu Panda 4. Did not enjoy it. Number 3 on the list is a film that I'm sure you've all heard about. He just mentioned it now. Madam Web. All I am going to say about this film is that half of it is funny bad, and the other half is just really boring. I don't think this movie is just inexcusable, to say the least. I am still shocked that the film was released like this, because there's very obvious ADR problems. The sound mixing is horrible. The acting is awful. It doesn't even feel like a Spider-Man movie. It feels like it was supposed to be like a medical drama, but then they ended up just slapping Spider-Man on it because they needed to keep the rights to Spider-Man. So they were just like, okay, we'll just slap all the Spider-Man stuff on it, you know? It basically, honestly, the best way I can really describe this movie, it's like if Neil Breen had like a high budget and was just told to make a Spider-Man movie. That's literally what watching this is like. And it goes on for 2 hours, you know, it's 2 hours long, and it is like, it just feels like it's just never gonna end, with just terrible line delivery, just horrible cinematography all around. Like, it's just not even, I can't even say it's well made, because it's just so poorly made and so poorly put together that I'm just like, how did this get made, you know? Yeah, I'll just leave it there. But basically all I'll say is that Amazing Spider-Man 2 is officially no longer the worst Spider-Man movie I've ever seen. So, and I'll leave it at that, because God, this is atrocious. All right, number 2 is a film. I'm not going to dive too deep into this rant, because I honestly could rant about this for hours. But the Netflix Saving Bikini Bottom Sandy Cheeks movie. This movie is horrible. Like, not even as a SpongeBob fan myself, as a fan of the first 4 seasons and of the first film, this movie is baffling to me. The animation quality has somehow gotten worse over the years. Not only that, but just the jokes do not land at all. And it's like they miss the whole point of what made these characters special to begin with. And they take all the annoying traits and they crank them up to 1,000. And not only that, you have this mix of live action that they put in there with just a terrible villain, where it's Wanda Sykes in like a robot bodysuit. What the fuck? I can't even make this stuff up, with just these terrible musical numbers that don't add anything to the story. They serve no purpose other than just to be weird for the sake of being weird. And yeah, I'm just like in shock. I'm like, how are we 4 movies in and we still can't figure out what made SpongeBob great to begin with? You know, why was it the first film that did it so well? But yet I see all these other SpongeBob movies, especially this one. I think this one is even worse, just because it's like, we're not even trying. It's like they just gave up, you know? You have god-awful jokes. You have one scene where SpongeBob is sniffing crap, and it's played for laughs, but it's so awkward and uncomfortable. And then you have Sandy Cheeks' family, where they're just there to be archetypes, and they do absolutely nothing, you know, with just terrible music all around. And again, it's just like, and it goes on for like 90 minutes, and I just was like, it just, everything drags, you know, just nothing about it was funny. Nothing about the characters was interesting. Nothing about the journey was great. And yeah, this is what this film is. And again, I'm just at a loss for words. I'm like, just stop with these SpongeBob movies already, because they're not good, you know? Especially after Steven Hillenburg's passing. It feels just so disrespectful, you know? It's like, why? Why are we still making these, you know? There's no passion in the filmmaking. There's nothing. There's not a single nice thing I could say about this film. And yeah, it is genuinely, I really thought about putting this as the worst film, but I didn't, because I already had the Sponge on the Run one as the worst of 2020, and I'm not getting into that one, but this film just really is just like, it just feels like a straight to TV movie, you know, in just the worst way possible, you know. And it makes me genuinely sad, you know, that like this is where SpongeBob is at. It's like just a joke at this point, you know. It's like it basically lived long enough to see itself become the villain. And it just genuinely breaks my heart as somebody who grew up with SpongeBob and is passionate about early SpongeBob, you know. So yeah, sorry, that rant was a little long, but yeah, Saving Bikini Bottom is just god awful and it's just so terrible. And it just spits in the face of people who actually do love SpongeBob as a show and as a movie. So yeah, that's number 2. So you're probably wondering, what's number 1? This film is so terrible and so god-awful that I was genuinely shocked that this movie was from this year, because it honestly feels like something that came out in 2012. That film goes to Uglies with Joey King. It's basically a god-awful teen dystopia film that is apparently based off a book, I guess, of the same name. And it has every single trope that you can think of the teen dystopian movie, you know? The characters are supposed to be like 15, yet Joey King is like 25. She doesn't look at all like the character she's supposed to be playing. You have these just this horrible villain who's just there. You know, it's like your typical cliched supervillain who is just there. And then you have this horrible portrayal of like beauty standards and all this other stuff. And it's just like, what am I watching? And it goes on for like 2 hours. And you're just sitting there wondering, like, what even is this movie trying to be, you know? And then even worse, the movie ends on a cliffhanger and sets up a sequel, which I am like baffled by. I'm like, that's not how you end the movie, you know? And yeah, it's just terrible effects. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even think I could put into words how just terrible this movie is. It's really just like, you just have to see a trailer for yourself, because it's like, how do you even describe this movie to people? But yeah, Uglies. Uglies is the worst film I have seen all year. It might even be one of the worst films of the decade, because it's just like, oh boy, I'm glad we're past the teen dystopian stuff, because geez, it's like if you took all of those, put it in a blender, and you just got a worse version of it. Yeah, awful, terrible.
All right, guys, that's our worst of lists. Damn. Let us know your worst of lists in the comments. I can't promise I'm gonna watch them. I probably won't.
Please don't.
It'd be interesting to see what you guys are thinking, and maybe you will have different opinions. Maybe some of our worst of is on your best of list. I don't know. Movies
More power to you guys.
Movies are subjective, but yeah, there we were. It was an interesting year for awful movies in 2024. All right. Now, after the not disappointment, the lows of talking about our worst of, let's try to end with a little optimism.
Please.
Obviously, in the coming year, we have a lot of movies that we are anticipating. So I thought it'd be cool. Let's make a most anticipated list. And obviously, at the end of the year, we'll probably end up talking about all these movies and seeing how we feel. Starting out for me, I will say I came out to an interesting number. It's going to be 6 movies, but obviously there are more that I have. But one definitely just I totally remembered was coming out, and it's a big movie for me. So number 6, Shelby Oaks.
Chris Stuckman's new movie.
Chris Stuckman is a very influential figure for me. And I'm assuming a lot of people in the movie review space, whether you like him or hate him as of now, is totally your opinion. But he's still someone that I watch and I listen to when he comes out with reviews, movies, and things like that. Again, he's a big inspiration behind this podcast and me kind of talking about movies more and more. And now we have him making his first directorial debut movie, you know?
Yeah.
And it has been crowdfunded, and there are some big names behind it and big production companies behind it now. So I am highly anticipating to see how this movie turns out. Obviously, he has been reviewing movies over the past 15 years, almost 20 years. And to see someone step out of that and make their first movie colored me very interested, very, very interested. I'm just anticipating for whenever that release date eventually ends up happening. I hope it is this year, but more than likely it will be. All right. Number 5, a movie that has been getting pushed back and delayed, unfortunately. Whenever it comes out, I am going to go see it. And I've seen trailers for this movie quite a few times now, and man, does it look interesting. Mickey 17.
You stole my pick.
I'm sorry. It just looks
kidding.
super, thought-invoking, interesting. Obviously, Bong Joon-ho is a big name right now. This is going to be a very interesting movie. And seeing someone like him work with a very great actor, Robert Pattinson, how are they going to work off of each other? And premise alone, this movie just, man, you can't help but be drawn to it. And the way the trailers have been, I'm just super, super excited. I really hope it delivers, especially after these multiple delays, which have been unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like it'll definitely make the product better, I hope.
Hopefully, yes. Number 4 is going to be an interesting pick for me. Demon Slayer Infinity Castle.
Okay.
For those of you guys who don't know, Demon Slayer is an anime that is on its technically like 4th, 5th season. And with kind of the last arc that they're going to do, they're making a trilogy of movies, and this is the start of it. I am a big Demon Slayer fan. I don't think it's one of the best animes ever made or anything, but man, when it hits hard. If I'm just being honest, my favorite film of 2020 was Demon Slayer, the Mugen Train arc. That was an absolutely amazing movie experience, and what a way to return to theaters and watch a movie again after the pandemic. Man, I still remember watching that movie. I remember laughing so hard. I remember crying so hard. And now when I rewatch it, I cry even more because it is just that damn good. So obviously with that, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, I'm super excited and super anticipating where they're going to go and how this story is going to end. All right. Number 3, 28 years later, I'm a big Danny Boyle guy, and to see him return after some time to a movie that helped kick his name off and, really kind of cemented him as one of the great directors we have working today. The trailer was absolutely amazing. Seeing it in theaters, hearing the noise and everything, the sound design, oh man, this movie is going to be great. It's going to be absolutely amazing. At least I hope it is. And then also similar to, I guess, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, this movie is going to be kicking off like a new trilogy. So
oh, sick.
We'll see where it goes. Again, for me, Danny Boyle he never misses for me, if I'm being honest. And even if he were I still feel like I would appreciate
It's still good.
what he would do. Exactly. So number 3 is 28 Years Later. That's going to be a good one. All right. Number 2, I am waiting for tickets to go on sale. As of right now, The Colors Within, Naoko Yamada's next film after A Silent Voice. Oh man, the trailer I am so excited. It is about a group of students forming a band, and man, does that work for me in every sense. Oh man, I just can't wait for this movie. I guess technically it could count as a 2024 release because I guess it already released in Japan, but I'm going to put it on this year just because I haven't seen it yet. But the trailers look amazing. Waiting for tickets to go on sale. It's coming out sometime in January. So I just have to wait and see. And we are definitely going to be talking about it. I really feel like we're going to start 2025 off with a bang with this movie.
Nice to be excited about January film.
Exactly. But yes, The Colors Within, Naoko Yamada's next film. If this was on a different year, this might be number 1. But unfortunately, it is not. Number 1, it's no secret, Superman, my favorite superhero of all time, and a film that it has a lot riding on it. It has a big task ahead of it. You know, we're resetting the DC universe and starting fresh. Can it work? You know, that is the big question right now. Was it worth resetting? And I feel like, judging off the trailers, I think it is. Man, is the cast look perfect in this movie. David Cornsweet, Nicholas Hoult, Rachel Brosnahan, Nathan Fillion. Man, this cast is great. And the trailer just gave me everything I was hoping for. And I can't wait until July. I'm counting down the days. It's just the biggest movie for me, definitely within like the last 5 years. Like all the things they do at Marvel are great. Obviously, bringing back Hugh Jackman's a big thing, but if I had one choice between seeing Superman in Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars, I'm picking Superman all day. Wow, I am just that excited. And again, it's nice to feel hopeful about the DC universe again. And I can't wait for it. So yeah, number 1, Superman.
Woo, yeah.
There it is.
Heck yeah.
All right, Wallied, most anticipated.
I had a little bit more, actually.
Nice.
I had 8 here, but a few you already mentioned, so I'll just go get those out of the way. 28 Years Later, I'm obviously excited about. I'm happy Danny Boyle and Alex Garland are returning. I'm not sure what I'm going to expect, but I will be there opening weekend. I'm really excited for it. Superman, easily the best trailer I've seen in a long time. And I'm not even a big trailers guy, but man, my excitement levels are like they're like in space somewhere. But yeah, I'm excited for that new Superman film. And then Mickey 17. I'm ready. I'm ready for Bong Joon-ho's new movie. Finally, God, it's been 6 years since Parasite. I can't believe it's been that long. All right. But yeah, so those were my few honorable mentions that Nabaahi already mentioned, but I still want to shout them out because they're also my anticipated. But yeah, a few that I'm really excited for. So Bad Guys 2, I'm really excited about it. I did see the trailer for it when I went to see Moana 2, and it looks pretty great. I'm excited for them to kind of feel like maybe go even farther with the Bad Guys stuff, especially because I feel like DreamWorks is great when it comes to sequels, and I feel like they can do sequels really, really well, aside from Kung Fu Panda 4, and we'll talk about that one. But Bad Guys, I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed that first Bad Guys film a lot. It was a very big surprise for sure, and so I'm excited to see what direction they're gonna go in with this new one. And yeah, I'll definitely be checking it out. The next one I wanted to talk about is another one. It's actually a Pixar film. I'm actually excited about a Pixar film for once, and it's Elio.
Nice.
I'm very excited to see what they're going to be doing with this like kind of sci-fi, kind of like boys chosen as world leader pretty much. And
cool.
I don't know, it looks great. It has a very unique animation style to it. I love how a lot of the colors pop out, and it's got a very interesting premise. It seems like early Pixar, and I'm very, very excited to see what direction Elio will be going in when it comes out. The next one I want to shout out, it'll be coming out. It's already released in the UK, but it won't be coming out till next month, unfortunately. I got to shout out my boy Paddington in Peru. He's coming back, and again, the trailer looks amazing. It is unfortunate that Sally Hawkins, who played the mum in the first two, won't be returning, but the new mum they got for this one, just from seeing the trailer, it looks really promising, and it looks like it's gonna be a really fun, awesome time. And yeah, I'm just kind of hoping they'll expand a little bit more with Paddington, as a character, and just him going back to his hometown pretty much, So yeah, Paddington in Peru, I'm very, very, very excited about. And then my most anticipated, and unfortunately won't be till the end of the year, but our guy, Guillermo del Toro, he's coming back with a new Frankenstein movie.
Nice.
And I am very, very, very excited for this, especially after seeing Pinocchio and seeing how he took that adaptation and just took it in a different way and made something really magical and special with it. I am super excited to see what kind of turn Del Toro will be taking with Frankenstein, as I feel like Guillermo del Toro is like perfect for this type of like monster film, especially because you can do so many creative and cool designs with Frankenstein. And I am curious to see if it'll be a bit more grim or if it'll be a bit more lighthearted, but I'm definitely excited to see when more info comes out about Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein film. And I would say for now, those are definitely my most anticipated. A lot of animated films that I'm definitely looking forward to. Obviously, Colors Within I'm very excited about too. But yeah, those are some of my most anticipated films for the year.
Nice. And I'm more than sure that some films are just going to, as always, sneak up out of nowhere and just surprise us. There's also a few we haven't mentioned that I know I'm definitely excited for. But those are the ones that just kind of stood out for me as a film fan, and I'm sure Wallied the same way. And, it's always just exciting to be in a new year and just seeing what are we looking at in terms of movies, Mm-hmm. I just always go into the year very hopeful that I'm going to see the next movie that forever changes my life. Obviously, one that comes to mind out of the last 5 years is something like Everything Everywhere All at Once, like seeing a movie that just totally just flips the way you were thinking and you come out a new person. Those are always the movies that I just appreciate, and I'm glad I get to experience as a film fan. But yeah, that's it. That's going to be it. I mean, we have our best of, worst of, most anticipated, and this is going to be hopefully a big year for us in terms of this podcast. We're going to have on more guests. We're going to be talking about music. We're going to be talking about some of our favorite, underrated movies, and we'll hopefully get into a few more kind of heated debates almost in terms of popular movies. Me and a couple friends got a few things in the works when it comes to that. And if you are subscribed and following us, just look forward to that stuff, because I know I'm excited to branch out this podcast into different ways and new avenues,
Yeah, definitely.
But we are going to be going all in this year. It's going to be great. And I hope you guys are along for the ride. And please share this with friends, whoever, like I said, I don't know where you listen to us at, whether it's you're at work, whether you're doing the laundry, whether you're
changing the baby's diaper,
whether you are on a walkabout trying to find out who you want to be for the rest of your life. I hope me and Wallied are here to comfort you and influence you. No, I'm just kidding.
Come join our cult.
Exactly.
Come join.
But thank you guys. It was a great year in 2024.
Yeah.
And here we are, 2025. Show us what you got.
Hopeful year, hopefully.
Definitely.
Good day and good night, mates.
We'll see you on the next one.